Welcome to the Hotelligence Podcast, your strategic vantage point on the changing landscape of hotel safety. Hosted by Jim Kortz, a retired FBI DHS investigator, and Don Carr, a former frontline security owner-operator with years of first-hand incident response experience on hotel properties. Every episode brings you closer to understanding the full picture and what the future may hold. Let's begin.
Welcome back to another episode of the Hotelligence Podcast. This is Season 2, Episode 10, Why the Vendor Doesn't Carry Your Duty.
On the last episode, we talked about how not acting is a decision.
So a property that knows starts looking for someone to act for it.
Yeah, a guard company, a third-party manager, a platform, or a brand.
And the moment it hands off the act, it assumes it also handed off the duty.
But it didn't. And so let's talk about how the handoff feels complete. So contracting a function feels like closing a gap. The work now belongs to someone qualified to do it.
And operationally, that can be true. The vendor does the work. The vendor does it better.
But operators read the contract as a transfer of responsibility, not just a transfer of labor.
And those are very different things. You can move the task. The duty tends to stay with the property.
Because the duty was never about who performs the act, it was about who owns the obligation.
And the obligation usually sits with the entity that owns the premises, the guest relationship, and the knowledge.
So when something happens, a claim doesn't politely sort out the organizational chart first.
Right. It names the property, the brand, the owner, often the vendor too. Everyone in reach.
And then it works backward. Who knew? Who could have acted? Who owed the guest a duty of care?
So the vendor may have done the act, but the property selected that vendor, scoped the work, and held the knowledge of what the property needed.
And that selection and that scope are themselves decisions. They get read the same way really every other decision this season has been read.
You don't escape foreseeability by outsourcing it. You just add a second party to the question of who saw it coming. So, simply put, indemnity is not immunity. Operators point to the contract, the indemnity clause. The vendor agrees to cover it.
Right. Indemnity is a promise about who pays at the end. It's not a wall that keeps the property out of the matter.
So a property can be named, deposed, and held to account, and only later sort out who reimburses whom.
Yeah, and indemnity is only as real as the vendor's ability to honor it. A guard company that can't cover the loss is a clause, not a protection.
So the structure that matters isn't only the language in the contract, it's the relationship underneath it, what the vendor was told, what the property still allowed.
Paper allocates cost. It doesn't relocate duty. So why this varies? So how much duty stays with the property depends on the property.
Right. A franchised flag, an independent, a third-party managed asset, each holds a different share of the same obligation.
The brand sets the standard. The owner holds the premise, and the manager runs the operation. The duty distributes across them, but it rarely disappears.
Which is why the answer is never simply to contract the function and look away.
It's to know which part of the duty left with the vendor and which part never could.
The vendor carries the work. The structure decides who still carries the rest.
That's Season 2, Episode 10 of the Hotelligence Podcast.
Next time, we'll talk about when keeping becomes exposure. The record protects you while you hold it. We'll look at what it does over time and why retention is its own decision. And remember, we're in this together.
And together, we make hospitality stronger.
We publish a short, written insider briefing alongside each episode. The link is in the show notes.
Thank you for joining the Hotelligence Podcast, where experience informs smarter, safer hotel operations and prepares you for what comes next. Stay informed, stay confident, and stay connected. As the conversation evolves, Jim Cords and Don Carr will highlight developments that help hotels strengthen their approach to safety and risk management. See you next episode.